Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're breaking down a really vital security checklist for small business owners, pulling straight from the storefront protection guidance provided by the Affordable Security Shutters team. Look, if you own or manage a commercial space, you already know just how much capital, time, and sweat goes into protecting your livelihood. But today, we are going to look at a massive, massive vulnerability that you might be entirely overlooking. So your front door is locked, but is your back way wide open? We're kicking things off with this question because standard commercial emergency exit doors are often, literally, the absolute weakest link in a building's perimeter. You probably got high security glass, heavy deadbolts, maybe even a heavy-duty roll-down gate right at your main entrance. You lock up at night, you set the alarm, and you feel secure. But if you were to walk to the back of your building right now, what's actually protecting that emergency exit? For a lot of businesses, the answer is uncomfortably close to, well, not much. Okay, here is our blueprint for today's audit. We're going to cover the backdoor illusion, dive into a 4-point storefront security audit, examine the criminal forced entry playbook, and finally, weigh fire codes against true security. Right, let's jump straight into Section 1, the backdoor illusion, and tackle this false sense of security head on. So here's a serious reality check. Even if that door is locked tight from the outside, standard hollow metal doors are absolute prime targets for professional burglars. The Affordable Security Shutters team points out that these commercial emergency exits were simply never designed to resist professional forced entry. You know, you look at it, you see heavy metal, and you just assume you're safe. But to an experienced intruder, that standard door is basically a welcome mat. Moving right along to Section 2, the storefront security audit checklist. Let's translate those hidden vulnerabilities into a practical 4-point property assessment that you can use. All right, here is your 4-step physical self-audit. I want you to mentally walk through this for your own property right now as we go. Step 1, evaluate the visibility. Step 2, assess your surveillance and monitoring. Step 3, inspect the actual material of the door itself. And Step 4, check the quality of your locks and latches. Okay, let's dig into exactly what makes a red flag. You see, criminals actively hunt for blind spots. If your door is tucked away in an alley or just poorly monitored by cameras, it's a massive target. Next up, the material. If your door is made of thin-gauge metal or aluminum, it can be bent or cut way easier than you'd think. And if you're relying on basic standard latches and those low visibility spots, you are at severe risk. If you just checked any of these boxes during your mental walkthrough, your storefront is currently vulnerable. Let's look at Section 3, the criminal forced entry playbook. Because knowing your vulnerabilities is really only half the battle. We need to see exactly how these doors fail under pressure. Let's start with prying. Intruders don't always need high-tech, fancy gear. Honestly, simple physics and leverage can quickly defeat a basic commercial latch. A regular crowbar or pry bar wedged right into the gap between your thin-gauge metal door and its frame is often all it takes. They just bend the metal enough to slip the latch out, and boom, they're in. Burglars actually use a really systematic mix of brute force and technical attacks. We just talked about prying those gaps. But consider drilling. Attackers will use power drills or hole saws specifically to destroy the lock mechanism and bypass the latch. Then there's cutting, which physically destroys the door material. And finally, ramming. It sounds crazy, but burglars will literally use sledgehammers or even vehicles to smash straight through doors that lack reinforced cores or frames. Now here is a genuine surprise threat, and it's honestly alarming. Gas-powered and electric saws can slice right through standard steel or hollow metal doors within minutes. You might think thick steel makes you immune, but the source material is super clear on this. Portable saws cut through standard steel incredibly fast. They don't even bother fiddling with the lock, they just cut a brand new hole and walk right through it. All right, Section 4. Fire codes versus true security. We really need to close the critical gap where regulatory compliance and actual physical safety diverge. Okay, here is perhaps the biggest misconception in commercial property ownership. Your emergency exit might perfectly satisfy your local fire safety codes, but that absolutely does not mean it meets modern security standards. Fire codes are designed to get people out safely and quickly, which means they mandate single motion exits. But making a door super easy to open from the inside often completely ruins its ability to stay shut from the outside. A door that passes a fire inspection with flying colors, it might fail the basic security test in seconds. So what's the cost of this week's security? Relying solely on fire codes without hardening those specific entry points leaves your business wide open to intrusion, theft, and some pretty devastating property damage. The real goal here is to harden these exit points without violating those essential fire codes. It's definitely a delicate balance, and it requires specialized, compliant solutions, like properly specified security shutters or heavily reinforced framing. As we wrap up this explainer, keep in mind that the Affordable Security Shutters team actually offers free security assessments to review your openings, assess your real-world risk, and help you fix any failing grades on your property. So I'll leave you with this. Considering your visibility, your door materials, your locks, and those aggressive methods we just saw criminals using, what grade would your storefront get on this security assessment today?